In this session, let's get into the exercises bit of it. First, we're going to deal with match the following kind of questions. We have two columns here and we have to match the following with these two columns here. So let's see how we can go about this. It is necessary to keep the voters list up to date because some people may have moved away from the area where they voted last. Some constituencies are reserved for SCs and STs so that there is a fair representation of all sections of our society. More representation, right? Everyone has one and only one vote so that everyone has equal opportunity to elect their representative. Party in power is not allowed to use government vehicles because all candidates must have a fair chance of competing in elections. Let's get into the next question. Which of these is not a good reason to say that Indian elections are democratic? You should understand we are looking for a reason which is, there is a not statement here, so you should be very, very cautious. A. India has the largest number of voters in the world. B. India's election commission is very powerful. C. In India, everyone above the age of 18 has a right to vote. D. In India, the losing parties accept the electoral verdict. So let us see which of these is not a good reason to say that Indian elections are democratic. It is definitely A. India has the largest number of voters in the world. So this is definitely not a good reason to say that the elections are democratic. The other three, B, C, D, are very good reasons. It is why these three reasons are why the Indian elections are democratic in the first place. Which of these statements about the reasons for conducting elections are false? We need to pick the false statement here, so let us see. Elections enable people to judge the performance of the government. People select the representative of their choice in an election. Elections enable people to evaluate the performance of the judiciary. People can indicate which policies they prefer. The answer is elections enable people to evaluate the performance of the judiciary. So we should understand judiciary has no role at all in the election process except once the results have been declared. But in the true statement of this, you can correct it by saying elections enable people to evaluate the performance of the government. Match the following. Let's match the following features of our electoral system with the principles they reflect. Okay, so we have a few statements here and the principles that we need to match it to. Universal adult franchisee, that means everyone who's 18 years of age or older has a right to vote. Representation of weaker sections, that is the reservation of seats for the SCs and the STs. We have one vote, one value, that means each constituency has roughly the same population. An open political competition, anyone can form a party or contest elections. Be very cautious with the last two statements. How many seats are reserved in the Lok Sabha for the scheduled castes and the scheduled tribes? A. 47, B. 60, C. 84, D. 100. So the answer is 84 seats that are reserved in the Lok Sabha for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes together. As per the order issued by the Delimitation Commission in 2008, there are 412 general seats and 84 seats that are reserved for the SCs and the STs. So there's another very important pointer that you need to understand. Seats are reserved only in the Lok Sabha and in Rajya Sabha there is no reservation for SC and the ST. Our country is divided into A. 500 constituencies, B. 543 constituencies, C. 550, D. 552. Our country is definitely divided into 543 constituencies. Who appoints the Chief Election Commissioner of India? A. Chief Justice of India. B. Prime Minister of India. C. The President of India. D. The Law Minister of India. It is the President of India. Who led the Nyaya Yudh? A. Chaudhry Charan Singh. B. Chaudhry Devi Lal. C. Ajit Singh. D. None of the above. It is Chaudhry Devi Lal. This is not mentioned in the chapter, but this is for extra information that's going to help you in your competitive exams. Which of these is not a feature of Indian democracy? A. India has the largest number of voters in the world. B. India's election commission is very powerful. C. In India, everyone above the age of 18 has a right to vote. D. In India, the losing parties refuse to accept the electoral verdict. So let us see which is not a feature of Indian democracy. It is definitely D, that the losing parties refuse to accept the electoral verdict. That is false, because in an Indian democracy, the losing parties have to accept the electoral verdict. They are open to losing. What is meant by the term constituency? A. Place where the copy of constitution is kept. B. A particular area from where voters elect a representative to the Lok Sabha or the Vidhan Sabha. C. A body of voters. D. None of the above. The answer is B. A particular area where voters elect a representative to the Lok Sabha or Vidhan Sabha. In India, elections for which of these bodies are held after every 5 years? A. Rajya Sabha. B. Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha. C. Vidhan Parishad. D. Only Lok Sabha. So, the answer is Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha. That is at the center and the state. Constituencies called wards are made for the election to A. Parliament. B. State Legislative Assembly. C. State Legislative Council. D. Panchayats and municipal bodies. The answer is Panchayats and municipal bodies. We've gone ahead with this. We've gone through this in the chapter, in the previous slides. What is an election held for only one constituency to fill the vacancy caused due to death or resignation of a member called? A. By-election. B. Midterm election. C. General election. D. None of the above. It is A. By-election. A general election is held every 5 years. Which of these is not a part of the district and local level bodies? A. Panchayats. B. Municipalities. C. Corporations. D. Lok Sabha. So it is Lok Sabha, and it is definitely not a part of the district and local level bodies. Lok Sabha is at the parliament level, which is at the center. What is the details the candidate have to give in the legal declaration before contesting the elections? A. Serious criminal cases pending against them. B. Details of assets and liabilities of the candidate and his or her family. C. Educational qualification of the candidate. D. All of the above. It is D. All the above. All the A, B, C components have to be included in the legal declaration before contesting in the election. When on election duty, under whose control does the government officers work? A. Central government. B. Election commission. C. District magistrate. D. District court. It is election commission. They work under the election commission to, as a transparency measure, not to involve any kind of corruption and remain accountable to the election commission and not to the government. What does the term incumbent mean? A. The current holder of a political office. B. The candidate contesting the election. C. The outgoing candidate of the dissolved house. D. None of the above. So, incumbent means the current holder of a political office. Which of the following statement is incorrect? Please note down, it's incorrect. All citizens above the age of 21 can vote in an election. Every citizen has a right to vote regardless of caste, religion or gender. Some criminals and persons with unsound mind can be denied the right to vote in rare situations. And D, it is the responsibility of the government to get the names of all eligible voters put in the voters list. So let us see the incorrect statement here. It is definitely 1 because it is against the principle of UAF. So the correct statement of that is anyone above the age of 81 can vote in an election. Sorry, not 81, 18. Voters list is also known as A, election number, B, voter identity card, C, electoral roll, and D, none of these. It is electoral roll. Please don't get confused with voter identity card. It is a card. Voter identity card is a card that you will have to take with you when you're going to vote on the election day. It is a kind of identity you have. Reserved constituencies ensures A, right to equality, B, proper representation to all religious groups, C, proper representation to the weaker sections of the society, D, none of these. It is definitely representation to the weaker sections of the society, that is the SC and the ST. Which of the following statement is against the democratic process of elections? A, parties and candidates should be free to contest elections. B, elections must be held regularly immediately after the term is over. C, the right to vote should be given to the selected people only. D, elections should be conducted in a free and fair manner. So the answer is the statement that is against the democratic process of elections is the right to vote should be given to the selected people only. No, not just selected people, to everyone that is 18 plus. Who has given the slogan Garibi Hatao? A, Indira Gandhi, B, Rajiv Gandhi, C, Sonia Gandhi, D, Pandit Nehru. The answer is Indira Gandhi, A, Indira Gandhi. So Garibi Hatao is also an Indianized name for removal of poverty.